Right now on News 3, a lawsuit against the Dane County District Attorney is settled for more than $250,000.
Plus, the Milton School District once again trying to find a way to expand after a pair of failed referendums.
And later, a noticeable difference this election season, why we aren't seeing as many yard signs this go-around.
This is News 3 at 6.
But first, we do have some breaking news. The Dane County District Attorney's Office says it is not pursuing charges against Wisconsin wide receiver Danny Davis. That's according to District Attorney Ishmael Ozan. This is in connection to sexual assault charges against his roommate, Quintez Cephas. Davis was suspended for the first 2 games of the season. He's expected to return this weekend against BYU. Cephas was ordered to stand trial Monday on 2nd and 3rd degree sexual assault charges. The legal battle between Dane County's district attorney and his former assistant is ending in a settlement.
A former assistant district attorney filed a lawsuit last year claiming that the current DA, Ishmael Ozan, forced him out of his job. This week, that federal lawsuit ended in a $350,000 settlement. News 3's Rose Schmidt has been following this case and joins us in the studio to explain.
That's right. Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Ozan says he did nothing wrong. But former ADA Bob Jambois says his former boss harassed him and retaliated against him, leading him to leave the DA's office.
I believe that this sends a message to Ishmael Ozan.
Bob Jambois has not been shy about criticizing his former boss, District Attorney Ishmael Ozan.
And I hope that he's also learned a lesson about how you can treat people. You just can't treat people the way they treated me.
Jambois filed a lawsuit last year alleging that Ozan forced him out of the DA's office while he worked as an assistant district attorney.
And I've really enjoyed my job.
It's a case that goes back to 2016 when Jambois decided to challenge Ozan in a primary election for district attorney. Ozan won the election with 73% of the vote, but Jambois claimed his boss still retaliated against him for running by giving him a hefty caseload in court, among other things.
I enjoyed the work, but they systematically set about to retaliate against me, to prevent me, to inhibit my ability to do that work, to do my job effectively.
Ozan says no one in the DA's office did anything wrong. A statement he sent to News 3 said in part, "I had to counterbalance our desire to go to trial against what is best for the office and the state." Ozan says he was prepared to try the case, but there were other factors involved, including attorney's fees and costs of the trial. Ozan and assistant DAs are state employees, meaning Wisconsin taxpayers will foot the bill of the $350,000 settlement. Ozan told us he also has to consider the impact on the DA's office, something Jambois says he's thinking about as well.
So I felt that this resolution benefited me, but I also felt that it benefited the other people that have to continue to work in that office.
Ozan says Jambois reduced the amount he was asking for by more than $2 million, and at that point he decided to reconsider settling. Jambois says to him it's not about the money.
Rose, thank you.
Brief scare this morning at Madison's Veterans Hospital. A gas leak forced some VA residents and patients from the community living facility next door to evacuate. We are told the gas leak happened in Building 2, which houses the call center and laundry facility. Any roads that were impacted will reopen a short while later after the gas leak was found and capped. Governor Walker taking the first steps toward requesting a federal disaster declaration in response to the widespread flooding and tornado damage across the state in recent weeks. In a release today, his administration said the governor has requested FEMA conduct a preliminary damage assessment. Governor Walker said he is hoping to get federal disaster relief as soon as possible to help families.
Some of the seniors at a Madison apartment complex are able to return home tonight. All the residents at Prairie Park Senior Apartments had to evacuate 3 weeks ago after floodwaters did more than $1.5 million in damage to the building. People who live on the first floor were able to move back home today. But Greystone Property Management says residents on the 2nd and 3rd floors will likely have to wait until the elevator works. The company hopes that will be completed by Tuesday. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is helping repair damaged Wisconsin and Southern railways with a $750,000 grant. The DOT has agreed to pay the company $750,000, or up to 80% of the total cost of repairs, as long as the company completes their repairs by September 22nd. The railroad company says hundreds of miles of tracks between Madison and Prairie du Chien were affected by the historic flooding. Let's get a look at our forecast. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canolti is in the Weather Center. Gary?
Charlotte, the weather continues dry and warm. Temperatures are going to be in the low 80s through the weekend. We'll see plenty of sunshine, but the next chance of rain will hold off until Monday night or Tuesday of next week. Visible cloud track shows just how clear the skies are in Wisconsin. Hardly a cloud to be found across much of the state, and Doppler track keeps any threat for rain well to our north or well away from Wisconsin. Low temperatures this morning started out in the lower to middle 50s. A few places were in the upper 40s with the dry air. Current temperatures range from the middle 70s in Madison to around 70 near Lake Michigan to around 80 near the Mississippi River. Dew point temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees, starting to creep up a little bit, but not terribly high. Otherwise, look for a partly sunny day tomorrow. High temperatures will top out in the lower 80s. That's your first look forecast.
Thank you, Gary. Something else to look out for following the recent floods: damaged cars for sale. These flooded cars that have been totaled should have a salvage title, but some sellers don't follow those guidelines. In many cases, insurance companies total the cars and sell them at auction. Instead of being disassembled, some vehicles are bought and restored to operational conditions and sold. Buyers should know that flood-damaged cars can be shipped anywhere for resale.
Next tonight, the Milton School District is looking for ideas from parents about how to fix overcrowding problems.
This comes after 2 referendums to correct the issue did not pass. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter spent the day talking to parents to hear what they had to say.
Yesterday, parents were invited into Milton High School to get an idea of how crowded things really are. After 2 failed referendums, the school district is now asking parents how they would solve the issue.
Things at Milton High School are getting tight. The school more crowded every year.
We have used the former closets. Spaces have been repurposed into classrooms or learning spaces that were never designed for that.
A school that District Superintendent Tim Scheiger says can comfortably hold around 900 students, now with 1,140. But it's not just the high school. It's all the public schools in Milton, a town with fewer than 6,000 residents and almost 3,500 students coming from 9 municipalities, making tasks as simple as walking down the hallway a lot more complicated.
From a safety perspective, students could not fit in the hallways with their backpacks. And so you literally have traffic jam, running into each other and people getting hurt, etc.
2 referendums to fix these facilities issues have failed due to concerns with how the plans would impact local taxes. Parents say they want what's best for their students.
No, I absolutely want them to have the best environment for them to learn, to grow, to, again, meet the fullest potential that they can. And space and your environment in which you live, work, and play is important to all of us.
Fala says she's impressed with the school district's decision to listen to parents.
I think they've taken a different approach to it, and they are more open to listening to what people have to say. And I think that's a great way to learn from what has happened in the last 2 years.
School officials say a 3rd referendum could come as early as this April. This time around, they say they are determined to do what's best for everybody.
How do we address it in a way from a facility standpoint that is cost-effective for the taxpayers, and yet does enough so that we can actually make significant improvements in programming and in space?
Dr. Scheiger said should a 3rd referendum fail, he's not sure what his next steps would be, but said changes do need to happen here to make sure this can be a place students continue to learn. In Milton, Adam Duxter, WISC News 3.
The UW School of Medicine and Public Health announces a new partnership with Facebook to study the relationship between the use of social media and the mental and social health of children. The study will start this fall. Researchers hope to further understand the relationship between digital technology and the well-being of children and the role parents can play in their children's use of social media.
You see them everywhere: malls, movie theaters, sometimes even churches. But how well trained are Wisconsin security guards? According to state law, in order to be a licensed security guard, you must pay a licensing fee, go through a background check, and not be convicted of a felony or be addicted to drugs. However, no additional training is required. Industry leaders say that leads to security guards who aren't often fit to serve.
Do you think the majority of security guards working in the state of Wisconsin are well trained?
I do not.
Well, coming up tonight on News 3 at 10, our Keely Arthur investigates a deadly bank robbery on Madison's east side and how things could have turned out differently had the security guard been trained. Still ahead tonight at 6, the final Madison night market of the summer going on right now.
And a noticeable difference this election season: many front yards are more empty than usual. Find out why.
The upcoming gubernatorial debate between Governor Scott Walker and challenger Tony Evers is being rescheduled. It was originally scheduled for October 5th, but the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association announced today it'll be moved to October 18th. Both parties have agreed to participate. Election season is upon us, but more Madison residents are noticing there's not an overwhelming political climate, particularly being touted from people's front yards.
Jamie Perez spoke with the general manager of a printing company for political yard signs, who says this year has taken a bite out of his production with the decreased demand.
Do you see that? What about that? Well, what I'm asking you is a bit of a trick question. See, a lot of the times we talk about things that we see, but what about things that we don't see? Kind of like political ads and yard signs. We're about a month and a half until elections, yet we haven't really seen too many of these around. Have we switched to a more digital age of marketing for political campaigns? Wade Koisman thinks it's a good possibility.
This year was particularly slow, especially being an even number year. I was expecting to see more.
For more than 15 years, he's made political yard signs.
There have been years where we've printed 10,000 plus signs for various candidates.
But this year,
It's off the top of my head, roughly 20% of what we've had in past years.
an 80% drop in orders. In previous years, we've been overwhelmed by the amount of ads.
Again, not sure why exactly, if it's more money and more time focus being spent on social media or other online marketing.
We tend to see more signs when it involves local elections, but when it comes time for statewide ones, that's where the decline raises some questions.
Personally, I feel like they're still very effective. I don't see why you wouldn't do both.
Both the yard signs and online, that is. Experts we spoke with agree with Wade's thoughts.
I think a lot of people, if they see a lot of this candidate's yard signs out there, they assume that, well, everybody else is supporting them, so they must be a good candidate.
There could be a campaign strategy shift of some sort, appealing to a different demographic. It's definitely something to think about.
I don't really know. It was kind of a surprise.
Who knows? Maybe we've just entered a digital age on social media where political campaigns are focusing more on trying to get your attention online versus through people's front yards. I think we might have to wait until we get a little bit closer to Election Day to find out. For now, for WISC News 3, I'm Jamie Perez. Back to you.
Now, the expert Jamie mentioned in that story was not available for an on-camera interview, but says it's an interesting observation of how different the marketing is for local versus state elections.
He believes state campaigns have more funding and are expected to spend more of their money on TV and radio ads. Well, tonight is the fourth and final Madison Night Market of the summer. Hard to believe it's going on right now in downtown. Vendors showcase their handmade products, art, gifts, prepackaged foods, and fresh produce. It also features live music and food carts. It wraps up for the season tonight at 11 o'clock. There is more to come tonight on News 3 at 6.
When we come back, an update on the Packer game this weekend against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll have the very latest, the status of number 12, an update in sports.
And in weather, quiet weather will continue through the weekend along with warm temperatures, and the next chance of rain will hold off until probably Monday night. I'll have your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Welcome back. It is day 3 of our Coats for Kids campaign, and so far we're off to a pretty good start. With your help, we have collected more than 500 coats already. Kids' jackets remain the greatest need here. Don't forget the accessories. Your spare mittens, hats, and scarves are also needed. Just drop off those locations at any Clinky Cleaners location.
And it's important to note winter gear, not fall.
That's right.
Because it can get brutal around here during the winter, but not today.
No, now's the time to go through your closets while it's warm.
Yep.
And, check, make sure if the coats don't fit the kids.
Right.
That's time to donate them. Yeah. Well, around here, our weather stays pretty quiet thanks to Hurricane Florence, and we just turned on the high-resolution Doppler radars down there, and you can clearly see the eye of the storm. Here's Wilmington, North Carolina, so almost due east of Wilmington. Flash flood warnings already in effect along the coast. This is a tornado watch for tornadoes that might spin up in the outer bands of Florence as it moves toward the coast. Maximum sustained winds right now, 105 miles per hour. Last update from the National Hurricane Center, moving to the west-northwest at a very slow 5 miles per hour. And the forecast path will take it to near the South Carolina-North Carolina border as a Category 1 hurricane, but the large circulation means a lot of rain and strong winds along the coast, along with a storm surge along and just to the east of where the center crosses the coast. It goes into a tropical storm and then eventually a tropical depression, but still dumping copious amounts of rain through the Carolinas, and then it makes a turn and heads up through New England as we head into the early part of next week, and that will start the progression of weather systems back across the country and give us chances for rain as we head toward the Monday night, Tuesday time period. Hurricane warnings in effect along the coast, tropical storm warnings inland, tropical storm watch in the north central sections of South Carolina. GFS computer model, the U.S. main computer model showing 10 to 25 inches of rain, mainly over North Carolina, lesser amounts to the south and to the north, but the European computer model shows a much wider area of 10 to 25 inch rainfall totals and then heavier totals into the Carolinas and the western portions of Virginia, mountainous terrain. That's going to bring just a lot of flooding. Chances of tropical storm force winds of about 40 miles per hour or greater, very high, even inland almost as far as Raleigh, and some stronger wind gusts possible into the western portions of West Virginia and western Virginia. But around here, just quiet. The Queen Bee Radio Skycam, the WISC Skycam, almost perfectly clear right now. The Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison showing the Capitol, lots of sunshine here. The almanac for today shows we just missed hitting 80 degrees for a high temperature. 79 is the high so far, 53 the overnight low. And as we look at the current conditions, we're at 76 with sunny skies, winds out of the southeast at 10 miles per hour. So there's Florence, but out in the Atlantic, there's Isaac, there's Helene, and a couple other tropical weather systems. This one could bring heavy rain down into Texas. But notice the central part of the country clear with high pressure and control of our weather, giving us nice conditions, and more importantly, dry weather conditions for those people that need it. Forecast for tonight calls for a low of 56 with mostly clear skies and pleasant weather. For tomorrow, partly sunny and warm with a high of 82. On future track, look for clear skies tonight, maybe a few clouds by morning with lows in the mid-50s. Partly sunny skies tomorrow, highs lower 80s. Southerly winds keeping temperatures up for tomorrow night, probably in the upper 50s. And then for Saturday, look for high temperatures in the lower 80s. 7 to 10 day forecast, dry weather Sunday and Monday. By Monday night and Tuesday, some showers and thunderstorm chances. And then again from late Wednesday into Thursday and early Friday, and then later the following weekend.
Nothing much new on Aaron Rodgers' status today, but whether he plays or not, Sunday's a big game for the Packers and the Vikings. The story's coming up in sports.
Hi, I'm Michelle Carolla. Tonight on the news at 9, why a possible cell phone tower in Iowa County is upsetting some residents. That's first on Fox at 9.
News 3.
Mike McCarthy said today it's no layup that Aaron Rodgers will play Sunday against the Vikings, but inside the locker room, players think the vibe is Rodgers is at least going to try to play. He didn't practice again today, but Rodgers made it clear yesterday he doesn't need to practice to play. Rodgers knows all about the Vikings-Packers rivalry, but the Vikings' new quarterback will be thrown into it for the first time. Kirk Cousins got a 3-year, $84 million free agent deal from the Vikings. He'll be wearing purple at Lambeau Field for the first time Sunday. Even though he's a newbie, he's getting filled in about the Packers-Vikings rivalry.
You run into people, and you're going to hear a lot more about the rivalry of the Vikings and Packers, or you're going to hear about your opponents in the NFC North more than you're going to hear about, you know, some team in the AFC that you may play only once every 4 years. And I think that's where you start to feel it, and the fuel starts to build, and you realize how important it is for this organization, for our fans, and you know, just the math of being, you know, needing to win your division to get a home playoff game. I think the math would say that, you know, we want to win our divisional games.
The Badger football team just a couple of days out from its third game of the season. The BYU Cougars come to Camp Randall for a 2:30 start Saturday afternoon. After seeing some spread-em-out deals with Western Kentucky and New Mexico, BYU changed its offense from last year. They could have 3 tight ends on the field at one time. Their head coach, Kalani Satake, has said the Cougars want to be like Wisconsin on their offensive and defensive lines. So Saturday should be a physical game, perhaps great preparation for the start of the Big Ten season next week.
Well, I don't think we've had what we think will be this type of physical game. And so, you know, there's a newness to that. And for some guys that have played in a lot of these games, they've got a better understanding than some that, oh, this is what they're talking about, you know. And so I think that in that way, you know, any new experience is good, right, if you can manage it. And so in that way, I think it is good, but it's not like this is, you know, a warm-up.
The Brewers get today off. They'll play the Pittsburgh Pirates over the weekend, starting tomorrow night at Miller Park. The Cubs are playing a makeup game in Washington right now. It's just gone to the 10th. It's Cubs 3, Nationals 3. Tomorrow night's Prep Mania High School football game of the week should be a dandy. Sun Prairie and Verona, both 3-1, still a game behind undefeated Madison Memorial in the Big 8. You can watch the Cardinals and Wildcats tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, TVW and channel3000.com. And Usain Bolt is the fastest human on Earth, but what about in zero gravity? Bolt raced astronauts in an Airbus zero-G plane in France. Didn't quite look as pretty as an Olympic 100-meter race, but Bolt was still the class of the field. He called it mind-blowing and fun. Part of a promotion by a French champagne company that's developed a special champagne bottle and serving glass designed for use in space. We need champagne and glasses in space?
It looks like fun, though, doesn't it? His form isn't quite as good with zero gravity.
There you go. And nothing to push off.
You go a little over, head over heels there. That is pretty wild.
I'd like to see them try to run with the champagne.
Oh. No, it would just bubble up. That's
yeah, that's true. There you go. The scientist speaks.
Final check of the forecast.
Temperatures very nice right now in the middle 70s to around 80 degrees in most areas. Dew point temperatures still pretty comfortable. Look for high temperatures tomorrow through Monday in the lower 80s. Some thunderstorm chances Monday night into Tuesday, and then again from Wednesday night into Thursday and early Friday and toward the following weekend. By that time, we could use a little rain, at least for the lawns.
All right, Gary, thank you, and thank you for joining us for News 3 at 6.
Have a great evening, and we'll see you back here at 10.
Download the new Channel 3000 app and get alerted on your mobile device the minute news breaks. Wherever you go, be the first to know with Channel 3000.